What is up, everyone? I'm Skratch. Welcome to the channel and welcome to another Raid Shadow Legends video. Hope you guys are having an amazing day. Guys, Plarium just released the new fusion. Now, of course, they decided not to release the full look of the champion, so we have no idea how the champion actually looks like except the avatar that we can see for a champion. We have no idea about anything else. As you guys can probably notice on the thumbnail, my guys did an amazing job with it. Now, I'm very curious to see if their imagination was rich enough and how close they were to match the champion's look from the little image we had with how the champion will actually look in-game once we're gonna see the full design, right? Super curious about that. They've done an amazing job with a little image that I actually gave them. But leaving all that on the side, let me just quickly walk you through everything that you need to know before we're gonna have a look at the kit. Next Thursday, June 5th, they're planning to launch a classic fusion event of a new champion, Tholin Foulbeard. Now, as the name kind of like already hints at to you, he is a dwarf champion, legendary, attack-based, force affinity. Now, this will be a classic fusion, guys, which means that you're gonna have to prepare a bit extra, get a lot of potions, have some chickens up and ready to rumble because you will need them. Then, Tholin Foulbeard is a versatile damage dealer well suited for both PvE and PvP content. He's also a top tier choice against Kurosa the Covetous, the ruthless limited time boss in the event dungeon. Now, personally, I was really expecting to see the event dungeon coming in this week. Clearly, the fusion starts next week, so I am assuming that the whole Chaos Awakens event will only start next week. Now, Plarium actually released some news about the big event where everybody needs to kind of like take part in. We're going to have personal milestones and we're going to have server milestones, which means that everybody plays on a server on Raid. So we're going to work all towards a common goal. We don't really know exactly everything that we need to do, but it's basically like just play the game. It's pretty straightforward. You don't have to go out of your way to do something in particular in order to basically accumulate points for the milestones, right? Now, the rewards for that event will basically be event relic crafting materials, primal void and ancient shards, epic, legendary, and mythical tomes, avatar frames, 4 and 5-star chickens, and 3 gear removal booster. At least that's what they have in plan for the rewards for that event. I'm really not going over it because, to be honest, there isn't that much of a point, to be honest, right? Like, there isn't much info in here, okay? That's why I haven't done a video on it. Like, what is it? Talk 2 minutes about it. Basically, there is really not much about it, right? But basically, that's how it looks. You're going to have a top 100 Krakens. You're going to see who actually spends the most in Raid Shadow Legends, which is actually good because I'm very curious to see this as well. It has never been done before to see this. Right now, the top 100 players will be across the entire server. We're not going to have a tournament group of 100 people or stuff like that. The global leaderboard in a tournament is very subjective because it's tied to a specific event. But this will have all of the events, all of the game basically in one place. So we're going to find out who are the biggest 100 Krakens in the game. And that's actually a good thing to know. Just from curiosity, basically, right? And these are basically the quests. Spend 140 energy non-gear dungeons, wins only, so that's Mino, that's Sand Devil's Necropolis, Iron Twins Fortress, all of that stuff. Kill 28 enemy champions in arena mode only wins will count, etc. So pretty basic, nothing crazy. Now, leaving all this on the side, guys, let's have a look at the champion, okay? Plarium is kind of like saying that he is going to be very nasty. Now, there is one thing to keep in mind with this champion, is make it or break it. Multipliers, okay? It's all about the multipliers. His kit is actually really good in my opinion. I think he's really interesting. Do we really need another damage dealer in the dwarf faction? Some of you guys might say yes, some of you might say no, right? So basically, we had only this image available that you guys see right here. So we have no idea how the champion actually looks like. That's why I'm really curious to see how close my guys got to actually reproduce the hair and everything else related to the look. But leaving all that on the side, guys, let's start with the A1 Demon Breaker. Attacks all enemies. Before attacking, has a chance of placing a weaken debuff for 2 turns. Now, fully booked, that chance goes up to 50%. On the second part of the skill, has a 50% chance of placing a weaken for 2 turns if the target is from the Corrupted Alliance, a boss, or a minion. So that chance will increase to 75%. And this is an AoE, which makes him very good for dungeon bosses with minions. Can be good for Hydra because of the AoE weaken, right? Very good versus Corrupted. Grants an extra turn if a weaken debuff was placed on all enemies by this skill. Now, this is really, really good because you can run a relic on him that increases the chance for him to land a debuff with the basic skill, which will almost guarantee you that extra turn as long as you're now weak hitting or anything like that. But even if you are weak hitting, actually, you don't have to worry about it because he will attempt to place the debuff before attacking. So a weak hit will not affect him from placing the debuffs, right? So he will have a very, very high chance to actually gain that extra turn after he uses the A1. So it's kind of like a good idea to open with the A1 and then try to get that extra turn, right? You still need to have that accuracy as long as you're not going for the Corrupted Alliance or stuff like that. So having some accuracy on him would not be a bad idea. Then, with the A2, back to the Abyss on a 3-turn cooldown fully booked. Attacks one enemy twice. Each hit will also ignore 25% of the target's defense. If the target is from the Corrupted Alliance, a boss, or a minion, each hit ignores 50% of the target's defense instead. Which is actually really, really good. If you have a good blessing on him, if you have a Merciless or a Savage, Helm Smasher, you're getting very close to do pure damage. What I do like about him is basically seeing this part in the kit that's very similar with Ninja's passive, Harima's skill, Theox's skill as well. Each hit decreases the target's attack by 5%, stacking up to 25, which is really, really good. And each hit also increases this champion's attack by 5%, stacking up to 50%. So once you're going to use this skill 5 times in a fight, you're going to max that and have the attack up by 50%, which is really, really massive because it takes all of your attack from gear stats, everything. It's not just about the base stats. So that could potentially push him to deal some crazy damage. With the A3, Rabbit Fury, AoE attack, attacks all enemies twice. Before attacking, places an increased attack buff on this champion for 2 turns, which is really good because he self-buffs. For each critical hit landed on the first hit, increases the damage dealt on the second hit by 10% and will ignore unkillable and shield buffs. So basically, he's really designed to counter the new boss, the new mythical champion, right? Ignores the unkillable, ignores the shield, self-buffs, the weaken versus the corrupted, so he hates demon spawns and all those naughty champions causing troubles across the area. If you're going versus an enemy wave boss, like the dungeon boss, which will have most likely 4 minions, and the first hit crits on all of them, you're basically going to increase your damage by 50% for the second hit. Now, all of this means nothing if his multipliers are shit. Pardon my French, okay? So as long as his multipliers are decent, good enough, this can be a very good damage dealer, right? I love that he ignores defense, which could potentially put him very high on PvE content as well, like Hydra, maybe even in the Chimera, depending of what he can do, right? Now, the passive is actually really nice as well. Activates Demon Breaker skill every 5th turn this champion takes. Demon Breaker is the A1, so the more turns he takes, the more often he's using the A1, the more often he has a chance to gain that extra turn, assuming that whenever we are activating it from the passive, we still have that chance to gain an extra turn. I think that's what Plarium actually mentioned in here. His passive triggers his A1 for bonus damage and an extra chance at an extra turn. Additionally, champions from corrupted bosses and minions cannot land critical hits on Tholin, okay? So nobody from the Corrupted Alliance or bosses or minions cannot crit versus him. So yes, they can do regular damage, but they cannot crit, which means that he has fairly decent survivability versus those enemies. And then you have an attack aura, 30% in all battles. That's something that I really, really like because it's not focused on a specific thing. So on paper, the kit sounds pretty good. Increase attack, ignores the unkillable and shield. Unkillable not as prominent, relevant in the current meta in Arena, right? Not that many champions put unkillable. Mostly it is block damage. Shield, yeah, you're gonna find quite a few champions with shield and stuff. But overall, I think he could potentially be pretty damn nasty if he has good multipliers. And we do have a lot of the champions from the Corrupted Alliance in the meta, right? Like, they are very, very strong. You have quite a few solid demon spawns, Commodus, Carnage. You have Lamassu that's being used pretty often, Vulcanos, Cheshire Cat, which is pretty good as well. Duchess, of course, so don't forget her. So you have quite a few solid champions from this faction. The Undead, still strong. You have Rotos, you have Sifi, you have Necret, Fabian, Theodosia, Heraclitus. You have quite a few champions from here as well. Dark Elves, not as many for PvP, to be honest. I'm not really seeing more or less any of them being used, to be honest. But the Night Revenants, they do bring quite a few of them. You have Ambris, Crixia, you have, of course, Hegemon, you have Narcissus, you have Queen of Hearts, you have Ancora, you have Georgie every now and then. So I think that's actually pretty solid that he has strengths versus these factions. But of course, it's all about the multipliers. Is he gonna be a great champion? Is he gonna be a trash champion? Now, one thing that probably a lot of you guys are wondering, how much is this champion going to impact my account? He is a damage dealer. He's not necessarily the most OP champion for the current meta in PvP. So that being said, I do not think that he will instantly push you high in any of the PvP tiers, regardless Classic Arena, Tag Team Arena, or Live Arena. But if you think you need an extra damage dealer, once we see that his multipliers are good or bad, I think it's worth doing. It can help you in Faction Wars. It might be good in PvE content, not only the new event dungeon. So you don't have to focus on like, okay, I'm gonna do it just because of the new dungeon, right? Like, there are quite a few other things to kind of like keep in mind. But personally, if the multipliers will be good, I'm gonna try and get a champion. If the multipliers are trash, there's honestly no point to get the champion because he's not gonna help me in the new event dungeon. He's not going to help me necessarily in Faction Wars. Yes, he could be nice on a stun set with the AoE attack. He could potentially do some very nice work in there. But to be honest, I feel like the Dwarves already have a bunch of awesome champions. And why not Geomancer on a stun set as well with a AoE, right? Like, he can potentially get the job done too. So that's not enough for me to justify making the fusion, just stun set on Faction Wars, right? But either way, we're gonna have to basically wait and see. As soon as I'm gonna have the test server available and be able to kind of like post a video on the champion, I will let you guys know, of course, so stay tuned for that. As usual, appreciate all of you guys watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and I will catch you all in the next one. Peace.